presentation for each piece of work. A performance will begin towards the end of the presentation. Above your heads and in the doorway, you will see I have caged you within the space with pink wool. This is inspired by a travelling performative installation by Guillermo Gomez Pena, called The Couple in a Cage. He placed two men in the cage and dressed them in traditional Aborigine clothing. No more was said on the matter. The couple simply existed in the cage wherever it was taken. For me, the most interesting part of this performance was that some of the public began to believe that the couple had been captured by the US government and put on display to the public. They wanted their pictures to be taken with the men. It interested me that the public would so willingly believe that these men's bodies were owned by someone else and put on display. I have reworked the essence of the cage with pink wool to explore how our bodies are caged by society. You, as an audience, have all been caged into my environment. Through the media and propaganda of advertising in popular culture, women's bodies are on display all of the time. They are owned by society, who asks us to adapt and change our physical appearance in order to fit in with what society wishes women to look like. The hanging embroidery rings contain images of some of my contextual references. I have found these all inspirational for different reasons, which are explained on the back of the image. Please feel free to handle the rings, but do so with care. I would have liked more rings for the display, but I could not find any more the same size. I have used embroidery rings as they are very defined and inescapable frames that remind me of the very specific physical roles women are asked to fill. Joetta Mao, a feminist textile artist, uses embroidery rings to encase certain parts of sewn autobiographical writings on reclaimed linen, framing certain words and giving a magnified effect. The work within the frame is accentuated and seems to have more importance than everything outside. This echoes my view of the specific frames or roles society wishes women to fill, and if you do not fit within the frame, then your physicality loses importance. I will continue to use multiple embroidery rings in my work, and will exploit their use outside of displaying my documentation. The hanging pink frame is reminiscent of my gallery piece. The film projected includes the ink film from the gallery and also incorporates new movement I have recorded. I have overlaid the two films so that the ink film eventually engulfs the female body until she has disappeared. The ink still represents how overpowering the pressure to be perfect can become. The performer eventually loses her personal physicality and becomes part of the ink, much like how many women in contemporary society adapt themselves to fit in with society's specific ideals of perfection. When editing, I had to crop the film so significantly that only a section of the spandex frame became included. I have come to prefer this outcome as it makes the body seem even more imprisoned by the frame, and this is something I will continue to do. This will mean experimenting with new choreography that would fit within the smaller frame. I filmed the movement vertically, so by projecting it horizontally, it has made the movement seem more unnatural and disjointed. This is a technique I will continue to use. When I filmed this piece, I was wearing black nail varnish, so had to make sure my nails were never visible through the fabric. This has made the movements more ambiguous, as I could not use my hands and had to overwork other parts of my body instead. I think it has worked well in creating a disjointed, unnatural body, and is also a technique I will continue to explore. Although the projection shows a moving female body, because it is not live, there is a sense of absence to the imagery. Absence of body, as well as the essence of the body being left behind, is something I will explore further through recorded movement behind spandex. Sometimes Francesca Woodman uses framing to cut off the head of her subjects, which also gives a sense of absence. By using low shutter speeds and handheld cameras, her photographs have a ghostly feel. They insist that the figures are there, but that they could disappear at any moment. The spandex helps me achieve this quality too. As soon as the performer stops touching the spandex, she ceases to physically exist. The spandex represents the pressure to be perfect, and the performer behind is pushing against that pressure. The relationship with the spandex is difficult because although it resists the performer's desire to show themselves as a full form, it is also the only representation of themselves the performer has. The fabric resists you, but also represents you. While the performer does not want to be controlled by society, it is the only way they can represent themselves. This is why the movements jump between being frantic, angry and desperate, to calm, gentle and passive, showing the varying emotional states the performer goes through within the choreography. You will find the documentation for this work on the floor underneath the frame. I have placed it here to continue the sense of restriction and framing. Ideally, the projected image would cover the entire frame, making the body life-size. Unfortunately, this was not possible for the presentation, but is something I will explore for my degree show.